Siku ya leo imekuwa ni mazishi ya Charlie Kirk ambaye aliweza kuuliwa hivi juzi na kupigwa risasi pale USA, na alipigwa risasi akiwa pale Utah, na siku ya leo imekuwa ni mazishi yake, ambaye tumemwekea hapa ni Vance ambaye ni Vice President wa pale United States.
After his death, you know, Charlie Kirk, he loved history. He devoured the ideas that formed the foundation of our civilization. He stood for a tradition that Socrates established 2,500 years ago, to question, to search, and to teach. He was Athens and Jerusalem, the city of reason and the city of God in one person. But if he loved those places, they were not his home. America was his home, and he was willing to die for it. You know, Charlie, he loved this country with a contagious intensity. Anybody who talked to him knew it and felt it. He knew that America was a beautiful place and we had these incredible ideas, but he also knew that our country was a covenant between the generations past, present, and future. He believed this country's best days were not behind us, but ahead of us. But he knew those better days would have to be earned. They would have to be worked for. We would have to sacrifice and work and tell the truth. He knew that America wouldn't be saved just by pulling together seminars or talking about the right kind of books in front of the right kind of people. The movement which he created demanded more. It demanded courage. It demanded hard work. It demanded building, and it demanded leaders. And my friends, in Charlie Kirk, we found a great American leader. Now, our whole administration is here, but not just because we love Charlie as a friend, even though we did, but because we know we wouldn't be here without him. Charlie built an organization that reshaped the balance of our politics. Turning Point brought millions of young people into conversation with one another, brought millions of people into advocacy. He asked of us, not just that we talk about saving our country, but that we actually go and do it, and we do it together. But even as Charlie built on a grand scale, his greatness was never only in his ambition. It was measured in the everyday moments as well, in the way that he treated ordinary people each and every single day. You know, you learn a lot about someone by how they treat others when the cameras aren't on. Charlie treated staffers as well as he treated the President of the United States. When I was just a guy polling at nothing in my Senate race back in 2021, Charlie helped me, not because I was a future vice president, but because I was a dear friend. I saw just a couple of months ago when a White House staffer struggled with the weight of his job and the responsibilities of new fatherhood. Charlie stopped what he was doing in the hallways of the West Wing and said a prayer for that staffer. Because Charlie believed that we were all children of God, he treated everyone with grace. And that is perhaps the enduring legacy of Charlie Kirk. You know, I was telling somebody backstage that I always felt a little uncomfortable talking about my faith in public, as much as I loved the Lord and as much as it was an important part of my life. I have talked more about Jesus Christ in the past 2 weeks than I have my entire time in public life. And that is an undeniable legacy of the great Charlie Kirk. You know, he loved God. And because he loved God, he wanted to understand God's creation and the men and women made in his image. Now, much has been said over the last week about Charlie's ability to approach any topic, any person in good faith, an achievement that was only possible because Charlie knew that we were all children of God. He knew deep down the truth of Scripture, and from that confidence, everything else flowed. That unshakable belief in the gospel led him to see differences in opinion not as battlefields to conquer, but as way stations in the pursuit of truth. He knew it was right to love others, your neighbor, your interlocutor, your enemy. But he also understood his duty to say what is right and what is wrong, to distinguish what is false from what is true. Charlie was slain, doing what he loved, telling the truth, proclaiming his faith, building out a dream. And now he's gone, and our hearts feel so empty because he's been taken from us. He's been taken from his parents and from his sister. He's been taken from our darling Erica and their beautiful children. And Erica, I know I speak for this entire auditorium when I say that we love you and we will never stop standing by your side, just as Charlie did. He was taken from us by those who despise the virtues that actually made our civilization great to begin with. Dialogue, truth-seeking, family, and faith. In the wake of his death, we have seen some of the very worst parts of humanity. We have watched people slander him. We have watched people justify his murder and celebrate his death. I know that this makes you angry just as it has made me angry. But it is easy in these moments to see only the worst of our fellow man. I found myself wishing that I could pick up the phone and talk to my friend and ask him for his advice and his counsel. To ask him how to respond to such hate and the souls from which that hate springs. But I can't call my friend because he was murdered for speaking the truth. I can only guess at what he might say and what he would encourage me to do. And here's what I think. I think he would encourage me to be honest that evil still walks among us. Not to ignore it for the sake of a fake kumbaya moment, but to address it head on and honestly as the sickness that it is. But I also think he would encourage me, he would encourage all of us to focus on the good. He would encourage us to remember that for every hateful voice celebrating his murder, there are 1,000 people mourning it and fighting for his legacy every single day. He would tell me to pray. I'm certain of it. He would tell me to pray for my friends, but also for my enemies. He would tell me to put on the full armor of God and get back to work.
Na ameweza kudeliver message ambayo ni hatari sana, akisema Charlie Kirk amekufia watu wengi na Charlie Kirk wataendelea na yeye na wataweza kushindwa, akisema ameweza kumobilize watu wengi sana, youth wengi, na ni yeye aliyeweza mpaka akasababisha kina Donald Trump waweze kushinda. So Charlie Kirk ni mtu ambaye ni wa kwanza na ni mtu ambaye amejituma zaidi ndio akaweza kufikia pale kwenye hiyo malengo, lakini pia amezidi kusema watu ama vijana vijana wasiweze kukua wana tamaa ya kitu kidogo, manake huku nje unafahamu kuna vitu kama sacrifice zinafanyika, kuna vitu soul zinauzwa, unauzia shetani unapata pesa fulani. Na yeye anasema Charlie Kirk hakufanya vile, na yeye hata kama ni nini, maongezi ambayo JD Vance ambayo ameweza kuongea hapo, ameweza kutuelezea kama sisi ni young people na tunajituma zaidi na zaidi, tuzidi kujituma sana, huku akimsalute Charlie Kirk na kumwambia bibi na watoto wake pole mingi sana sana. Naitwa presenter Nillan ama Dr. Benny, nikiripotia ndani ya Black Mind Production Media. Black Mind Production Media, great in greatness.